Alright guys, welcome back to Java Full Stack Made Easy part 4 of session 82, where we will be talking about the delete and the update in Spring Data JPA CRUD with MySQL. Previous sessions we have spoken about the get all and get by ID, and previous to that we have already discussed about creating an object. Like we are done with creating a superhero, get all superheroes and get superhero based on the ID provided. Now I will write a delete superhero based on the ID provided. So I will implement the superhero delete by ID, and also I will implement an update superhero. So this update superhero would look like a create hero. So let's call it as an update hero or something, and then it takes a superhero request. All this is fine, but also it takes a ID that is provided with it. So let's pass in an ID also with this. Fine. So based on the ID we will update everything that's given in the request. So let's just save it and go to the IMPL and implement those two methods here. So a delete and also the update method. So as for now, this update method, let it be null. So I'll go to the delete method and simply perform a delete operation here. So for the delete, it is pretty simple and straightforward. What I will do is I will simply just do a delete by ID from the repository. So I'll say repository dot delete by ID. Yes, so I'll just do a delete by ID. That's it, and I will create a delete mapping for this, right? And let's go ahead and create the delete mapping for this controller, and we will test that first, and then we will come back to the update stuff. So let's copy this get mapping and mark this as the delete mapping, and try and get the same path variable, which is the ID in our case, right? So previous session also we created this get mapping. So this will just be converted into a delete mapping, and it will take the ID, and the return entity will be not of the superhero response. Here I'm going to return a void type of data. So ensure that this V is capital. We are not giving a keyword void here. The type void is something which we are returning, that you have to keep in mind. And then the method, call it as delete by ID or just delete hero or anything, right? So I'm calling it as delete, then the path variable long ID is what it takes. And lastly, what I will do here is I will say service dot delete method. So it will just delete that entity, and once it deletes it, I will, instead of saying okay, which returns me 200, I will have to return a no content here, that is for delete, which probably returns a 204 or something. Fine. And then this does not take any argument. I have to simply say that this method has to be built so that this gives us an empty body and gives us just the response status. So let's save it and test this application now. Yeah, first of all I have to relaunch the application. Let's launch that and see if there are no exceptions. Yes, yeah, obviously there are no exceptions. Now I will go to Postman and test the data first. So I have these two details already present with me, and now I will go to a delete method and I will say slash to the second data of Rohit is something which I am deleting. I will hit send. So you can notice that I'm getting 204, that is no content, and an empty body I'm getting. That looks very good. So now I will go ahead and perform a get all is something which I am doing, and see the result. So you can notice that, oh, that one ID I'm expecting this to be deleted, which is ID 3, sorry, so ID not 2. So let's go ahead and perform a delete, which is slash 3, and hit send. So that should be deleted. Now let's do a get all once again and test it. So there we go. Yeah, so that is deleted. Now what I will test is I will try and search for that ID which is 3, and when I do that I have to get an exception there, right? So why am I getting an exception? That is because I'm trying to actually get the data by ID in the get ID, and which is unable to find that particular data, and I'm using a get method there. So that's why I'm getting an exception there, right? So you can see that this exception is for not found data or object not found. Fine. So this is something which we will trigger in our later sessions, where we will create exceptions and resolve that particular problem if the ID is not present, what we will be implementing. Okay. Now the next thing is in the service I have already implemented what? I have implemented the update superhero as well. So let us implement that update superhero and see how things work. So very first thing is that we have to understand the requirement for an update. So for updating a superhero, first of all, the customer is going to give us, customer means the end user is going to give us a long ID. Also, he's going to give us the request object, and that entire object has to be updated with the existing object. We are not updating one single property, we are actually updating all the properties that are present here. Okay, so for that, let's see what we will do. So we already have this long ID and the request, and whatever request is coming up, now I have to map that request to a response. Request is coming up, and when I do find, it will actually give me what? It will give me a superhero. It will not give me a superhero response. So that mapping has to be done. We already know that we have created a method called as toResponse to perform that mapping here. Fine. So let's see how are we going to do this. First of all, I will do a repository dot find. So I'm going to find the data based on the ID. So I will do a find by ID. Let's find the details that is given by the user. So once I find this detail, I have to change all the data. So the old data has to be changed with the request data that is coming up. Fine. So here what I will do is I will perform a map here. So when I'm doing a mapping, now what I will do is whatever old data I have, that old data dot change what? The old data dot, sorry, this is the old data, and do what with the old data. Now with the old data, all the details has to be modified. So what all details it has? Old dot set name has to be changed, power and the universe has to be changed. Then what after setting this, I have to set the power, the universe as well. So three things I have to update: set name, set power, and set universe. So the existing data will be updated. Should be updated with what? Now the existing data should be updated with the user's data, that whatever user gives us in the hero request, it has to be updated with that. So hero request dot get name, it has to. Similarly, hero request dot get power and the universe. Get hero request, oh sorry, I missed a semicolon here, so it should be a get universe. Fine. So I will update whatever name is given in the request body. I will update the power and I will update the universe as well. So once I update all that, I have to save the updated data as well, right? So what I'm gonna do is I will say return the response. Let's say to response. And what to response here, I will save this particular thing into the repository dot save. So when I save this new existing data, that is our old data now, which is modified, so that I will update and I will return this particular detail here. Fine. So because I have to return a response dot superhero, so which I'm going to do here, I will just write a return here. Fine. So it returns that, and I'll not return this null. In other case, let's first see what it does. Cannot convert from an optional object to superhero response. So repository find id dot map. Map what? Map the old stuff, and whatever old data I am getting, that has to be modified. All that is done, and returning a response and the repository dot save, looks good, or else just return a null instance. Okay, so it was because what if this is not found, what has to be written? At that case I'm returning a null object. Either return the updated object or return a null object. Let's save it, and now let's go ahead to the controller and then perform a put mapping for this now. So put mapping is similar to the uh, post mapping. Now let's go for the post mapping first, which takes the request body and everything. So I'll take this, and in the put mapping it actually takes a id as its argument. So let's take that as well. Put mapping takes this id, so let's put this as a path variable. So it returns a response entity of type superhero response, that is correct. uh, Instead of create, let's call it as update. It takes the request body, and also it takes what, it takes the path variable as well, right? Takes a path variable which is long id. That takes two things, one is the path variable, another one is the request body. So both we have given, and then it calls what, it calls the update. So service dot update. Okay, service dot update hero. So I have to provide that id and the request. So both it takes request and the id, and this returns what, returns the updated superhero, right? So updated superhero can either be null, or it returns the updated data, right? So two things are given to us. So what I will do is I will say return first, sorry, not return. I will store this into the superhero response. Let's call it as the response is equal to. Now if the response is null, that is what we have written here, either return null or return the updated. If the id is wrong, then obviously it is going to return as null, right? So if the id is correct, then only it is going to update us the details. So if it returns null, if the id is wrong, or if the updated details are not there, so what we will do is we will check what is it, check the response. Okay, and return the response, and check if the response is what, if it is not null or what. Okay, so if response not equal to null, then do something, or else do something, right? So that's what I want to do. If the response is not null, then return the response entity, and call it as response entity okay status 200, and return that response entity as a body to it. So I'll say okay, and yeah, body and all, I don't need to return all these things. So just do what, simply do a request. So return the updated data in case if it is not equal to null. If it is equal to null, then what needs to be done? At that time also I have to return something. So say ternary operator basically. So if it does not return null, sorry, if it returns null, then I have to return an empty data here. So which I have already returned in the no content. So I will go here and copy this. Let's just paste this. In this case, no return statement once again. So it is already that ternary operator that I'm using. So I have to remove this semicolon here, put that semicolon. It is not the no content here. What if id is wrong, it will be not found, right? Oh, sorry. So response entity, instead of no content, it will be not found. So that's what I need to return, and return an empty body in that case. So either return a response entity okay, or return a response entity not found, and build. So let's see, why is this ternary operator type mismatch cannot convert from response entity of superhero to a response entity superhero response. It is returning as what, superhero request, response entity superhero response itself, it should be So where are we returning a request object? Superhero response. Superhero response. This will also return as a superhero response itself. Controller. Return if not equal to null, then return a response entity OK and request, or else response entity dot not found. So that looks perfectly fine. Of which is the response, right? Yes. So let's save it and let's launch this and test the update method. Let's run this. All right. So in the previous case, we have already checked the delete. Now what I will do is I'll first post the data. Let's post, and yeah, the same request. Let's hit send. Now the ID is 4. Let's try and do a put mapping. Put mapping requires an ID. So ID 4 is something which I want to update, and I will change it to hitman. Let's call it as power as batsman. Those two properties at a time I want to change. Okay. So let's hit send and check whether it will be updated. Method not allowed. So I think I have not changed it to put mapping. Yes, it is not changed to put mapping. Let's change it to the put mapping. So I just copied it post mapping and kept it as it is. So I have to change that to put mapping. I'll stop this and run it once again so that it works fine with the put mapping. Looks good now. Let's go back to postman and let's now put this first. I will try and just perform a get. Yeah, get by ID 4. We do have that. Let's now go for the put, and I'm trying to update this hotman to hitman and bat to batsman, right? So let's hit send, and that is updated. So you can see that hitman and the batsman is updated. Now if I do a get by ID 4, so I should get that updated data. Yes, we get that. And if I get all the data, I should get this updated data. So if I'm getting all the data, I'm getting the updated data here as well. So finally I have now successfully implemented all 5 methods, which is get, post, put, and delete. So if I go to the service, you can notice it here. So we have performed a post, that means created a superhero. We got all the superheroes, get all superheroes, get superheroes by ID. We deleted a superhero and also updated a superhero. So this is the basic CRUD operations using Spring Data JPA with all modern Java concepts used here. So yeah, a couple of modern features I have not used is the records. I did not use the records. So it is recommended to use records if you are going for the new Java way of implementing, or if you want to avoid this all boilerplate code instead of writing a class, you can use the records, for which again I have already created a video on my channel, the difference between creating a traditional class and records. And records are immutable, so you have to create the records only for the DTOs. You should never create a record for an entity. In fact, entity does not accept the records, okay, because JPA does not accept that. Hibernate is not fully updated to work on the records, because records are immutable, they cannot be changed. So I hope you are enjoying in the series. If there is any doubt, you can always reach out to me, and if you are liking in the series, please share and subscribe to my channel for more such content. Thank you. See you in the next video.